Our story begins in 1939, on the eve of World War II, introducing us to Heinrich Harrer, portrayed by a young Brad Pitt. Harrer is an accomplished Austrian mountaineer, but also a man consumed by ego and a relentless pursuit of personal glory. He is portrayed as aloof, self-centered, and largely detached from his personal life, even leaving his pregnant wife behind to embark on a perilous expedition. This initial characterization is crucial, as it sets the stage for his profound transformation later in the film. His quest is not just to conquer a mountain, but to escape the responsibilities and mundane realities of his life, a dramatic motivation that drives his early actions. Harrer joins a team led by fellow Austrian Peter Aufschneider, played by David Thewlis, attempting to summit Nanga Parbat in British India. This ambitious mountaineering expedition is fraught with danger, a testament to their skill and daring. However, their adventure is abruptly cut short by the outbreak of World War II. As Austrian citizens, they are declared enemy aliens by the British authorities and are consequently arrested. This is a dramatic and unexpected twist, as their grand expedition for glory turns into imprisonment. They are sent to a prisoner of war camp in Dehradun, in the Himalayan foothills. This sudden shift from the freedom of the mountains to the confinement of a POW camp marks the beginning of Harrer's forced introspection and the start of his long, arduous journey towards self-discovery. Imprisonment is not for a man like Harrer. After several failures, they finally succeed in 1944, breaking free from their confines. This dramatic escape marks the beginning of an even more challenging journey, a treacherous trek across the vast, unforgiving expanse of the Himalayas. Their destination is Tibet, a mysterious and isolated nation, largely untouched by the outside world. Initially, they are met with suspicion and rejection at the Tibetan border, as the xenophobic nation is wary of foreigners. After an arduous 2-year trek, filled with close calls and incredible hardships, they finally arrive at the holy city of Lhasa, the spiritual heart of Tibet. This arrival is a pivotal moment, a dramatic entry into a world unlike anything Harrer has ever known. They become the house guests of the Tibetan diplomat Kungdod Sarong, and even receive gifts of custom-made Western suits from senior official Nahuang Jigme, a gesture of unexpected hospitality in this forbidden land. This twist of fate sets the stage for Harrer's profound cultural immersion and the beginning of his true transformation. Aufschneider, ever the more pragmatic and open-hearted of the two, finds love with Pima Laki, the local tailor, and eventually marries her. This romantic subplot provides a stark contrast to Harrer's initial emotional detachment, highlighting his continued struggle with personal connection. Harrer, still reeling from his past failures and the divorce papers sent by his wife, initially opts to remain single, focusing on his new job of surveying the land. In 1945, upon hearing of the war's end, Harrer plans to return to Austria. However, a cold, bitter letter from his son, Rolf, stating that he is not his father, shatters his resolve. It is at this critical juncture, when Harrer is at his lowest ebb, that destiny intervenes. He receives an unexpected invitation to the majestic Potala Palace, the sacred residence of the Dalai Lama. Here, he meets the 14th Dalai Lama, still a young boy, but already possessing an extraordinary wisdom and curiosity. Harrer is appointed as his tutor, tasked with teaching the young spiritual leader about world geography, science, and Western culture. This is a profound and dramatic turning point for Harrer, as his self-centered world begins to expand to encompass a far greater purpose. The initial interactions between the cynical, worldly Austrian and the innocent, spiritually enlightened boy are both charming and deeply educational, showcasing the clash and eventual harmony of two vastly different worldviews. Harrer, once so emotionally distant, finds himself opening up, sharing his experiences and knowledge with genuine affection. The Dalai Lama, in turn, teaches Harrer about compassion, humility, and the rich spiritual traditions of Tibet. This mentor-mentee relationship evolves into a profound bond, transforming Harrer from an arrogant individualist into a more empathetic and enlightened man. However, this period of peaceful cultural exchange is shadowed by a growing, ominous threat. News begins to filter into Lhasa about the communist Chinese government's souring political relations with Tibet. China, having defeated the former central government and retreated to Taiwan, now sets its sights on annexing Tibet. The film masterfully builds this historic tension, showing the idyllic peace of Tibet slowly being encroached upon by external forces. This looming threat adds a layer of dramatic urgency to Harrer's personal journey, as the fate of his new home and his young friend hangs precariously in the balance. The political tensions escalate rapidly, culminating in the inevitable, the invasion of Tibet by the Chinese People's Liberation Army. The film portrays this historic event with a sense of impending doom, as the peaceful, spiritual nation is confronted by a technologically superior and ruthless military force. Nahuang Jigme, the Tibetan senior official who had earlier befriended Harrer and Aufschneider, is tasked with leading the Tibetan army at the border town of Chamdo. However, the Tibetan forces are no match for the well-equipped Chinese army. The ensuing Battle of Chamdo is a tragic, one-sided affair, a dramatic and scary illustration of a peaceful culture being overwhelmed by military might. In a shocking and dramatic twist, Nahuang Jigme surrenders to the Chinese and, even more controversially, blows up the Tibetan ammunition dump. This act of apparent betrayal effectively cripples any further Tibetan resistance. During the subsequent treaty signing, Kungot Sarong, another Tibetan diplomat, expresses his profound disappointment and anger to Harrer, stating that if Jigme had not destroyed the weapons supply, the Tibetan guerrillas could have held the mountain passes for months or even years, long enough to appeal to other nations for help. Harrer, deeply affected by the invasion and Jigme's actions, confronts his former friend. He condemns Nahuang Jigme for betraying his country and declares their friendship over. In a powerful and dramatic gesture, Harrer further humiliates the senior official by returning the jacket that Jigme had given him as a present. This act, seemingly small to a Westerner, is a grave insult in Tibetan culture, signifying the complete severing of their bond. Harrer's outburst, born of disgust and contempt, showcases his complete transformation from the self-centered mountaineer to a man deeply invested in the fate of Tibet and its people. As the Chinese occupation tightens its grip on Tibet, Harrer, deeply concerned for the safety of his young friend and spiritual leader, tries to convince the Dalai Lama to flee. He argues for his escape, emphasizing the danger he is in. However, the Dalai Lama, with a wisdom far beyond his years, calmly refuses. He states his unwavering commitment to his people, refusing to abandon them in their time of need, despite the immense personal risk. This dramatic exchange highlights the profound spiritual strength and leadership of the Dalai Lama, and the stark contrast between Harrer's Western pragmatism and the Dalai Lama's spiritual resolve. It's a deeply moving moment that solidifies the Dalai Lama's iconic status and his dedication to his people, even in the face of overwhelming adversity. Instead, the Dalai Lama encourages Harrer to return to Austria, urging him to reconcile with his son and embrace his role as a father. This is a pivotal moment for Harrer, a final lesson in humility and the importance of personal connection. Before Harrer's departure, the film depicts the solemn and historic enthronement ceremony, where the Dalai Lama is formally installed as the spiritual and temporal leader of Tibet. This visually stunning and dramatic sequence underscores the cultural richness and historical significance of the Tibetan people, even as their sovereignty is being tragically eroded. After this poignant ceremony, Harrer bids a heartfelt farewell to his friends, including Aufschneider and Pema Laki, and the young Dalai Lama, promising to remember them and their plight. In 1951, after 7 transformative years, Heinrich Harrer finally leaves Tibet, a changed man, carrying with him the profound lessons learned in the land of snows. Harrer's return to Austria is not the triumphant homecoming he once envisioned. The world he left behind has moved on. His wife has remarried, and his son, Rolf, now a teenager, initially refuses to meet him, still bitter and resentful of his long absence. This is a dramatic and emotionally charged reunion, highlighting the personal cost of his past choices and the long road to reconciliation. Harrer, now a man of empathy and understanding, recognizes the pain he caused and approaches his son with a newfound patience and humility. This twist of fate, though painful, is a necessary step in Harrer's complete transformation, forcing him to confront the personal consequences of his journey. Harrer, understanding his son's pain, leaves a music box that the Dalai Lama had given him, a small token of the world he had experienced and the man he had become. This thoughtful gesture piques Rolf's interest, and slowly, over time, their relationship begins to mend. The film concludes with a poignant scene years later, showing Harrer and a now teenage Rolf mountain climbing together, a powerful visual metaphor for their reconciled relationship and Harrer's journey coming full circle. This is a deeply moving and dramatic conclusion, symbolizing the healing power of forgiveness and the enduring bond between father and son. It's a testament to the idea that even after profound loss and separation, connection and understanding can be rebuilt.